That is the self-revelation, and that is the shift we are talking from the impersonal to the personal, and this is what the characteristic feature of the essays of personal essayist. Next, there is a note of familiarity. There is a note of rather a connectivity, rather, where the talks are very straight. The reader is very much throughout connected with the writer. As you can read on the screen, Lamb's contribution to the English essay also lies in his changing the general tone from formality to familiarity. Now, this is to be highlighted here. We are talking about the familiarity as one of the major aspects of the writings of the romantic essayist, which was a departure, or rather it was the opposition of the earlier neoclassical and the classical writers. He often addresses the reader. Lamb, as I read out, I just read the dedicatory note, but rather if we read from one of the essays, we would definitely see that he is addressing the reader. If the time does not permit me to read the extracts from the essay, that is the collection of the this work, that is Essays of Elia. But if we just go through the titles of the essays, like Oxford in the Vacation, The Two Races of Men, New Year's Eve, All Fool's Day, Imperfect Sympathies, Valentine's Day, My Relations, these are the titles which give us the clear-cut note that how the reader is very much important, and that is what here I want to stress, that he addresses the reader as if he were addressing a friend. He makes nonsense of the proverbial English insularity and talks to the readers as a friend and man. He is not narrow-minded, rather he is very open, and that is that is going back to nature. That is what the individual aspect, as we ponder on when we talk about the characteristics of romanticism, and that is what he is talking about. He says that the readers are more important, and then he tells that the reader as a friend and man. This note of intimacy is quite pleasing for Lamb, is the best of friends. Now, when we talk about the other features, what we find in the essays, while reading the essays of Charles Lamb, then we would say that humor, pathos, and humanity, all three of them bring a compact presentation of what Lambs want to convey as an essayist. As I can read it, and as you very well can do that, Lamb's humor, humanity, and the sense of pathos are all his own. And it is mainly these qualities which differentiate his essays from those of his contemporaries. His essays are rich alike in wit, humor, and fun. Lamb's writings show all the three qualities, but what most distinguishes him is humor, for his sympathy is ever strong and active. And that is the characteristics of the essays written by Charles Lamb. What are the other elements which are very important to understand the characteristics or the essays is the autobiographical fact, and that is the truthful account of the life that he lived in a manner where a reader can correlate. That is the factor of humanity, or the element of humanity gets into here. I'll read that. The most autobiographic of all the essayists, it is perhaps Lamb who is the most autobiographic. His own life is for him such stuff as essays are made on. He could easily say that Montaigne had said before him, "I myself am the subject of my book." The change from objectivity to subjectivity in the English essay was by and large initiated by Abraham Cowley, who wrote such essays as the one title of Myself. And this is the entrant of the common man. That is the characteristics of the Romantic age that we will remember while reading. Then the other aspects, the autobiographical aspect is one of the most interesting traits of his essays. From it, we draw a vivid picture of his life from the time of his birth in the inner temple to his life at Christ Hospital and his happy time spent with his grandmother. The essays reveal his perceptive, superstitious, and imaginary childhood. Now, here again, I would interrupt and read out few lines, that is the opening lines from the essay Dream Children, Reverie. That is what will in a way authenticate the fact which I just want you to understand. In spite of not being married, in spite of going through the tragic phases, and still trying to in a way give an clear cut picture, that is, this is what we can find here in the essay Dream Children. I'll just read out the opening lines. Children love to listen to stories about their elders when they were children, to stretch their imagination to the conception of a traditionary great uncle or grandma, whom they never saw. It was in this spirit that my little ones crept about me the other evening to hear about their great grandmother Field, who lived in a great house in Norfolk, which had been the scene. So at least it was generally believed in that part of the country of the tragic incidents which they had lately become familiar with from the ballad of the children in the wood. And that is the beginning of the essay Dream Children by Lamb, and that is what I was talking about, that his essays reveal his perceptive, superstitious and imaginary childhood, and this is what the blend which he uses. Now again, one of the important factor of Charles Lamb is that he was a keen observer, life's keen observer. He loved his treasure trove of memories from his happy childhood, that innocent bowers, overflowing joy, sweet kinship, moments of leisure spent in the spacious old garden. He loved the past more from an awareness of fleeting time that deceives like a lover's false perceptions, which vanishes everything as with the touch of a magic wand. And this observation or the features can be very much understood if we read the whole essay Dream Children, to authenticate that what he talks about is what a reader can understand while reading the essay. As we are running short of time, I'll just take you to the style, that is the peculiar style of the essays of Lamb. A word about Lamb's peculiar style, which is all his own and yet not his, as he is a tremendous borrower. As it is said, he was extremely influenced by some old world writers like Fuller and Sir Thomas Browne. It is natural then that his style is archaic. And the other features, I'll just scroll these slides, seeks refuge with nature, and that is what again brings him very close to the writings of Coleridge and Wordsworth as his major influences. He was a very sensitive soul, and that is the personal touch or the characteristics which we have been talking about, what he wanted to bring out, that is, in spite of the personal ups and downs, in a pensive mood, he could be bring out what he wanted to reflect, and that he could do in isolation. A very vibrant romantic self, that is what helped him bring the sadness, solitude and seclusion, and that is what as a nature poet he did. He uplifted, that is the various moods he came across and that brought them into writing. And while writing he used a very personal narrative technique. I'll just read out this. A well-known literary figure in 19th century England, Lamb is chiefly remembered for his Elia essays, work celebrated for their witty and ironic treatment of everyday subjects. And that is what the persona talks about, the everyday subjects. And this is the feature again, the nostalgic work which we found in the essays, that is titled Elia and the persona of Elia. These are the characteristics. Now I'll straight away go back to a comparison which I have made between Bacon and Lamb to understand the characteristics of Lamb as a personal essayist. Lamb and the Romantics, this is what you need to remember. A sociable, kindly person, fond of jokes and puns. Lamb liked company. His holistic social gatherings included well-known romantics, and literature and art were frequent topics of conversation, and that is what the personal association with Coleridge and Wordsworth helped him. There are many things which need to be known about Charles Lamb before we come to a comparison, and I'm just scrolling down. Here comes a comparison of Bacon and Lamb. Lamb essays are very much influenced by his personal life, but when we talk about both the writers, they make profuse use of illusions and quotations. Now this is what I just want to focus here, is the illusions and the quotations, but the difference lies in the method and the method of using. For example, in Of Nature and Men, he warns that a man should not feel complacent about a victory over nature, and goes on to substantiate the point with the help of the allusion to one of Aeschylus' fable. His illusions and images are brought in with the specific purpose of impressing an idea all the more forcibly on reader's side, and that is what I talked about Bacon. And then if we talk about Lamb, the use of illusions by Lamb almost casually, as if they simply came to him naturally, and this is what the flow, or the rather the bent of the Romantics is seen, that they came naturally, not to convince a reader but to share an experience. There is one aspect which both Lamb and Bacon shared, that is the commonality. If we take Bacon in all his essays and Lamb at least in some of shows, mastery over aphoristic sentences. And then that is again a comparison between Bacon and Lamb, impersonal versus the personal. And then come to the conclusion. Lamb's essays are thought to demonstrate a characteristically romantic imagination akin to that of the poets Samuel Taylor, Coleridge and William Wordsworth, Lamb's contemporaries and friends. His essays are not the offspring of the lighter moments of a busy practical life. They are the photographs of the man himself. And this is what we are coming back to, what we started with, that the personal essays are personality translated into print. And this is again another idiom, or rather a phrase, where they are said as the photographs of the man himself. And that is how we come to the end of this session. Thank you very much. And this is a very brief, rather a brushing up of the features of Charles Lamb, but it requires a wide reading of the essays written by Charles Lamb. Thank you very much.